Hello, this is Pigsy doing another video. There's this chappy going. Go out in the corner there, okay, way. Nice one. Yeah, fasting really. Talk about fasting or dietary stuff. I was thinking I might, well basically yesterday, I don't know why I've even bothered, had some craving for meat and I thought, oh, I fancy a kebab. The problem with kebabs is you can't tell if it's real meat or not. Because I think I might have mentioned before, I had some meat I bought from a place that did a lot of frozen food, so it was Iceland, and they had this meat there that was said like kebab meat you could just warm up, and I put it in a slow cooker and it wouldn't break down. Some of it wouldn't actually dissolve, which was weird because all the other meat had been on there for 24, over 20 hours cooking. You would expect it to be like a stew, not actually still be in one piece. So it wasn't, something in it wasn't meat, or something was artificial or something, I don't know. So when it goes through my stomach's got to try to break that down. And it may be that they've got something that breaks down with acid, but not heat. Either way, I don't want a lot of crud, basically. I don't want a lot of rubbish in my stomach. I don't want to eat a lot of plastic or something weird in it. Or, yeah, because some of the things you get like rubber gum and stuff like that. Otherwise what happens is the longer you cook the food, the more rubber it becomes. It's like chewing gum. So if you cook chewing gum, it becomes harder and harder. It should do, it becomes more like rubber. So at some point, it's not really going to be, you won't want to eat it, because it's just going to be like eating a stone. It's just going to go straight through. There's no way body can do much with it. And so that's the issue around processed meats, is that I'm not saying that this particular manufacturer or that, it's just something to be aware of. In this case, I don't know what the meat was like. Anyway, so I went to this kebab van and I had this large kebab. But it's repeating on me. My body's throwing it out basically, getting rid of it, and yeah, it's taken a while. So it's pushed. It's ideal for fasting. What you do is say, right, well, I don't want any solids, so I'm pushing towards today probably kind of a liquid type fast, and so I'm gonna have a wet food fast. I'd call it wet food fast. Is probably the best way to put it. Wet food fast. So it's a WFF, yeah, and so I've got like some super home. I haven't eaten yet. It's coming up to 1 o'clock. I have had a juice today, which could have pushed me straight out of the fast. Who knows? It doesn't particularly bother me. What happens though, if you don't have enough energy, your body would crave to eat, and I haven't had that, so my body's balanced. Hormonally it's better balanced, so a glass of juice hasn't led to me wanting to eat loads of food. I've had a coffee, a juice, and then afterwards I've had some black tea. I did have a tea at one of the clients, so I've had about 4 drinks, and it's just quite a lot. But then again, if I've eaten something quite salty, last night, the other things, there might be some other issues there. It's draining fluid to digest it and flush it out. I had the bowel movement was quite kind of loose, to get into too much detail, but then I have tried to push it out because I don't want to get all sort of bunged up in there or anything. And yeah, so that's going to be the next, looking at development. Possibly what happens if you eat like soups. So because to talk about the hour window and fasting and keeping your calories low, definitely going to be calorie deficit, because a cup of soup's not going to do it. The orange juice, yeah, it was high in sugar, and it would have spiked insulin and other things. But then it's also the other focus area is how often you have sugar. So its frequency is important, not necessarily quantity, because if your muscles, they're not feeling fatigue, but they run on sugar and they store sugar in it. Your glycogen is stored in your muscles, and it also is used in your other cells. So if you've got a deficit in it, so you're running on different things your body's converting for energy, but if your muscles could store more, then if you eat a load of sugar or come in contact with that sugar, it's going to be used as storage, but in the muscles rather than being stored as the fat. So that's something also to think about, because the autophagy has opened up a window for your body to operate differently. I mean, there's autophagy occurring, but it hasn't had the chance to run a maintenance, which is what really it's like your MOT of your body is basically your fasting. It's putting you into a state where your body's, it's a hard boot reset. Your body's going to have to look at how it's operating, activate genes that maybe have not been activated before, and as a result they come into play and start dictating stuff and causing changes in your body. Like the program gets an update, firmware update, and starts accessing things that normally wouldn't be available, because they're sort of they're put to one side and not used. Basically, they go offline. Gene expression, if you want to look at that, that's what they call it. When somebody fasts, their gene expression increases. When somebody's put into any situation of stress, biological stress, their body activates. Now, some of it's has a memory of the past and has experienced it before, and therefore you're activating ancient genetic knowledge or whatever's in there. But also these genes are independently, they're firing up because they're active, and so they're trying to resolve things. So they're not necessarily, I've got this sort of ancient gene expression or whatever's coming through. It's actually a modern one. It's just remodifying itself. That's what it's doing. It's like the Borg or something. It's like the biological version of the Borg. It's like, well, we must adapt to survive. We must adapt to thrive, and then all these sorts of things. So the body goes through its genetic alterations, but then also the modern man has a psychological expression. There's psychological genes. They call them phenotypes and things, personality types. They're very much active at the moment. They can dictate your sexuality. So somebody's maybe stressed. They may be stressed around their sexuality, and their phenotype genes go through. The stress will actually cause some genetic changes. So somebody may become more feminine. You know how some people say they've got a girl's brain? That could be actually quite true. Oh God, I'll go that way. Yeah, you'll see. That's the police part of me. But there was a rubbish truck in the middle of the road, and here we go. Uh-oh. It's like a hazard. It's blocking both lanes. So you see why I didn't bother going down that road. Why I suddenly changed my interest. Yeah, so the gene expression will be changed at a psychological level as well. And that's one of the things I said. What's his name? McKenna. There's a guy called McKenna, Terence, and he mentioned about how that where the evolution goes is it externalizes itself into a more different kind of the spiritual. And where are you going? Oh yes, taxi's got his wheel out. So it goes into the meta. It's into the metaverse of beyond the that's beyond the paraverse of the psyche. Let's get past him. Lovely jubbly. And so yeah, but that's really, it's the advancement of that. So I'm looking at, say, like a wet diet, try a bit of that. The other issue is that it's quicker to digest, quicker through your system, and some other changes will take place. Some drug addict. So different stresses cause different changes. That's the fundamental. Anyway, this is Pictus signing off from this video, and I will speak to you soon.